Happy Wednesday, Frank Rock, House of Orange Sports Channel coming at you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe. Get this thing out there for me, guys. I can only do so much with it. Obviously, it's word of mouth. Hopefully, you like what I'm doing. If you don't like what I'm doing, please give me some feedback. What can I do better? What can make this channel better? I'm open ears. I really am. I'm always open to feedback. Don't have a problem with it all. But getting into keys to victory tonight versus LSU. LSU comes to Knoxville, 7 p.m. SEC Network. Tennessee comes in ranked number 6 in the nation, half game out of second place in the conference. You got Alabama 8-1, South Carolina, Auburn tied at 7-2. Tennessee half game out due to one less game at 6-2, and then behind them you got Ole Miss, Kentucky, Florida. LSU comes in 4-4 in the conference. And just looking at LSU's trends, look at their last 5 games in conference. So this is something kind of interests me a little bit because I'm looking at that. And of course, their leading scorers during this time: Jordan Wright, Jalen Cook, Mike Williams, Will Baker. Mike Williams has actually upped his points per game in conference. He's under 10 for the season, but the last 5 games in conference, 11.2 points per game. My big matchup I'm looking for, first off, is Will Baker, 11.2 points per game, 4.2 rebounds per game over his last 5 in conference. And that's pretty cool. He normally averages a little bit more than that for the season. Jonas Adu's got to do his thing tonight. He has to do his thing tonight in this matchup. And Will Baker's about 7 foot tall. He's a grad transfer from Nevada, 7 foot 245. I've talked about it in the preview. When Tennessee's running into trouble, it's due to big men taking advantage of them. It's been every loss so far. And, the South Carolina game, they weren't really known for their big men, but big men come in. Gray come in, bigger guy, played more minutes, very effective. Adu didn't have his game that night. He just wasn't very good. Awaka did some good things. The biggest thing with Awaka is staying out of foul trouble. You saw it at Lexington again last week. First half, he got 2 quick fouls and was out. He come in that second half. For a point in time, he was dominant. He was dominant underneath. He did some big things in that game. I'm looking for more of that out of him. You've got to cut down the silly fouls, though. I mean, you really do. And that's where I think you've started seeing J.P. Estrella get more playing time, is due to kind of some of these cheap fouls that they're getting. So that's my first matchup tonight that I want to look at. And I want to look at that from the perspective of rebounds per game. And again, I'm looking at recent trends so LSU's been getting, even though in their last 3 games, so they're 2-3, and they've been out rebounded right at 38-35 in those games. That's a matchup I feel Tennessee should win tomorrow night. You win that game, you get those second chance points. You had a lot of that against Kentucky. You controlled the paint. You had a lot of points in the paint. Lots more than Kentucky had the other night. That's going to be a big part of it. My second point I want to look at, and I feel is big, is LSU, again, over their last 5 games, they're shooting right at 42% from three-point range. I think Tennessee needs to hold them around 35 or less in that. And, I said that last week, and need to hold Kentucky's three-point percentage down. Well, Kentucky's shooting percentage was through the roof last week. It's just that Tennessee was just a lot better that game. Their shooting was excellent in that game. LSU's been averaging 81.4. They're giving up 80.8 in the last 5. Now, they do kind of have an outlier here, and Alabama beat them 109-88. The rest of the games, LSU's given up 80, 73, 68, and 74. Not too bad. You take that 109 out, that's going to look a whole lot better. But again, I'm looking at last 5 game trends against the SEC, against Ole Miss, Texas A&M, at Georgia, at Alabama, and Arkansas. So you have a couple of common games in there, in that LSU did beat Ole Miss at home 89-80. Tennessee blew them out of the building. LSU lost at Georgia. Tennessee won at Georgia, albeit it was a tough game. LSU lost at Alabama 109-88. Tennessee beat Alabama at home. So, obviously a difference when you're playing on the road versus playing at home. Even though South Carolina come into Knoxville last week, I still think it should have happened. South Carolina, give them credit. They're playing good basketball, but they're not a better team than Tennessee. And the funny thing about it is Tennessee has to go to Columbia last 2 weeks of the year, and Tennessee could realistically go up there and lose that game. Again, that tends to be the type of teams who are giving Tennessee trouble recently. These slow it down, play for less possession teams. I don't think you'll see as much of that out of LSU. Again, team averaging 81.4 over the last 5 games, averaging right up at about 78 for the year. I just like this matchup for Tennessee. And again, you look at LSU statistics, their main guys, Jordan Wright, about 6'6", 16.6 over his last 5, Jalen Cook. They're both guards. I mean, it is pretty much a guard-oriented team. I mean, you got, like I said, Will Baker, 7 foot, Mike Williams, 6'3", he's a freshman. So a lot of Tennessee's better defenders. On ball, Zakai Ziegler, Vescovy, very good on ball. Jemai Mashak, one of the best. There is Josiah Jordan James, Dalton Connect doing his thing as well. And then my third point I'm going to get to, of course, so I've talked about win the rebounding battle, hold LSU down from 3-point range. My third one is LSU, again, kind of that Alabama game's the outlier, but that puts that average they're giving up over these last 5 games at 81. I picked in my preview Tennessee to win 88-65. I'm expecting a big win. I'm expecting a blowout tomorrow night. LSU should not come to Knoxville and give Tennessee a game. And that's not taking anything away from them, but you got the home court advantage you factor in. And I just think Tennessee's a whole lot better team. I really do on that. Dalton Connect, 16 quiet points. How does LSU go at him tomorrow night? Are they going to try to guard Connect and make the other guys beat them? Or is it kind of against like South Carolina did? Connect did his thing. Really, nobody else did their thing. Vescovy had 10 points, but the rest of the guys, you had a lot of no-shows in that game. I like to see Connect get back to around 25 points or so tomorrow night. I think on most nights that's what you're going to need. I don't know. I just don't know on most nights because you've got such inconsistency out of James, out of Vescovy, out of Gainey. He hit some shots the other night. He's been up and down a bit. Ziegler, big game the other night, but Ziegler had some down games prior to that. I still think you need that big game out of Connect, that 25 points, him averaging, in that 25 to 30 range in conference. And then Adu, he's got to do his thing. He's got to be in that double-double range. Awaka's got to have his effective minutes to stay out of foul trouble tomorrow night. But 3 things I'm looking for: win rebounds, hold LSU down 3 points, and then let Dalton Connect do his thing tomorrow night. The other guys support him. And I know it's been said Connect's there he's there to win games. He's not there to lead team to scoring. Rick Barnes has called out other guys saying we're not here to watch him score. So I think that's a big key tomorrow night. Again, I'll stick with my prediction, 88-65. I like everything in this matchup for Tennessee, and it's at home. If it were at LSU, I would expect a tougher game. But Tennessee has won the last 2 games by 14-plus points. And I expect the same trend to go to 3-0 over the last 3, 14-plus points in each of the last 3. So if you haven't checked out the preview that I dropped last night, feel free to check that out. Baseball will release at 4 o'clock today, and we'll release my projection on pitchers. And then tonight I'll do the recap of the Tennessee LSU game. Hopefully be coming in here with good news. Hopefully that will release around 9:30 tonight. If, depending on when the game ends, hopefully there's no technical difficulties having to re-record or anything like that. But happy Tuesday. I hope you guys have a good day. This is Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Sports Channel coming at you. And as always, and it'll never end, never be anything else, go Vols.